so much
I'd like to say thank you very much, David, for introducing me to these books. I have enjoyed studying them, but they are very frustrating. They're very enigmatic, but over the years we've collected photographs from many sources. We've taken our own photographs, we've done tests here, and David has arranged tests at other universities. I am absolutely convinced that they are ancient, and that the people who want them to be fakes are just deflecting from the importance of them. There's no doubt that they have some very intriguing symbols on them, some very intriguing messages hidden in them. But from just the metal alone and the state of the corrosion, the way they've been made, it's not like you faked up an artwork or an oil painting and added some soot and dust. It's not like you've taken some new metal and bathed it in camphor. You can see from the books that the corrosion goes all the way through. The crystals have taken a very, very, very long time to develop. And you can also see different people's handwriting. You can see the messages, and it's a fascinating story that is deserving of more telling and more investigation.
Having researched them, having spoken to a number of eminent scholars over the past 10, 12 years or so, from Professor George Brooke, the head of the Dead Sea Scrolls team, to Professor John Sawyer, Professor Philip Davies, and co., it's believed that actually they are early evangelion, which is basically where the Greek word evangelical comes from. So in other words, they're testimonia. They are possibly the notes that went up to writing the Gospels, as it were.
You can investigate them at the level of, the human hand. You can investigate them at a centimetre level of detail with a photograph. You can investigate them, like you can see on the screen now, at fractions of a millimetre with photographs. But it's quite difficult to read what they say. Now, the tests that Professor Webb had been doing are at subatomic particle level. So what you get is reports written about them and traces on oscilloscopes and things like that. But they need somewhere to collate and share the evidence to allow more people to work on them and study them, and to gradually work out and decode what they say. There have been a number of people in different countries spending thousands of hours trying to decode them. They are not straightforward. But they remain mystery.
The problem is the books are written to a certain degree in code, but four of the world's greatest experts, Professor John Sawyer amongst them, have decoded whole lines of grammatical text from the codices through scriptural analysis, through analysis of the metal, etc., etc. So it's something that's been sought after by scholars for a long, long time, and I think we've got it.
You can see there, that's a many-paged book that has no two pages the same, but similar messages, and the same guy has been making these seals almost certainly across how many books, David? 6 or 8 books have got those individual seals, and there's even some witness marks on those pieces of binding wire where you can almost see the same 2 nicks in the pair of tongs or whatever has been used to make it. But that's a scroll with the same messages as one of the pages of one of the other books. And that same design appears on a number of the books. So same message being got out there in slightly different forms. But the lead isotope analysis that we've compared to does compare favourably with the grouping of Roman lead, but we can't absolutely prove a date. You don't have carbon dating that doesn't work the same way. It may, however, be possible to find organic remains within the objects or near the objects or where they're found in situ. And some of them do have little bits of charcoal in them, so that might be possible one day.
It's the most stunning territory. It's the place of Jeremiah the prophet, it's the place where Jeremiah is said to have hidden the Ark of the Covenant, and so on and so forth. So what we've got is this extraordinary tradition of books being made from a very early period. And there's every possibility that these might well be those 70 books, because we've got approximately 70 of these particular ones. And that's very curious. But to add to the intrigue as well, when Professor Hugh Schonfield, one of the first of the scholars to translate the Dead Sea Scrolls, got hold of the Damascus document, the first thing he translated was something that really baffled him, it puzzled him. He said, it's talking about the making of a small metal book with the image of its founder on the front. We have to remember that what we read in the New Testament is a Roman romance. It's a Roman story, hence the word romance. They've taken the statements and added the story to it, so a bit like the modern newspaper industry in a sense. But you have to go back slightly before that to see that before that idea had been developed, all we have are books with a series of statements that are testimonies to the role of this particular man to be the Messiah. And these are spoken of, we found references in the early 1st century, BC as well as AD, all the way up through a quote we found recently, my friend John Matthews found recently, in the Vatican Archive from Pope Leo X, the Pope who famously said, "It has served us well, this myth of Christ," asking a bunch of Chaldeans, otherwise known as Nazareans, to bring their famous books along with them, and so that he could correct his original version of the New Testament. So that should tell you an awful lot. But you've got to look here, if we're looking at early Christianity, you're looking at Christianity as you are totally unfamiliar with.